Brown Corner. I'm Tina, and today I'm going to make green beef enchiladas. These are a type of enchilada that is served at the Spanish Inn restaurant in Big Spring, Texas. It's my favorite green enchiladas of all the different kinds I've ever had. And I don't know, this is not an exact clone of their recipe. I wish that I had a clone of their recipe, but this is as close as I've come to be able to make it at home. It uses a creamy green chili sauce and does not use the salsa verde in it. I'm browning my ground beef right now, and a little secret that that my mother-in-law taught me is to be able to get it into fine crumbles. Add a little water to your ground beef while it's still pink, and mix that up good, and that will help it separate. And then of course I'm going to stir it rather constantly while I'm cooking it. But that water in it will help it separate into tiny pieces so that it comes out in nice, even crumbly pieces. We're going to an Emmaus gathering tonight, and we always start those with a covered dish meal, and so that's what I'm making this for. I'm making a big pan of them to take with us over there. It's our combination Thanksgiving Christmas meeting. We have them once a month, and except at this time of year, and we combine. So I like to take something special because hopefully we'll have a nice big crowd and get to enjoy everybody's good cooking. Covered dish meals are so good, and you know, in bigger places, I don't know that they still do them so much anymore, but this little town that we live in, we still have several different opportunities to take a dish places from time to time, and it's so good, so much fun to get to try other people's foods and share those meals together. All right, I'm going to let that cook until the liquid is cooked out. I'm going to add my seasonings. Now I'm going to season this just like I would for any kind of tacos or a regular red sauce enchiladas. I'm going to use salt and pepper, a little garlic powder, a little chili powder maybe. I pulled these out of the cabinet. I have a Pampered Chef chipotle rub. That's you know, all it is chili powder, salt, garlic, you know, paprika, you know, so it would work in something like this. I have some chorizo mix for making a pork chorizo with sausage with, but it's chili powder, comino, black pepper, and other spices, garlic. So again, some of these chili powder based mixes that you have, they can all be used for things like this. So you can experiment if you want to, or if you have those, you don't need to have these. Or if you've run out of some special seasoning mix, recreate your own with your own seasonings. It's a lot cheaper. You know, this was $1, and this one was $3.59. You know, and this one there's no telling with Pampered Chef. So it was, but it's tasty. But all right, so I'm going to add some salt. And as I said the other day, some black pepper, and I'm using a finer ground black pepper rather than grinding with my pepper mill. In Mexican food cooking, I like a finer grind of pepper. It just does better, just for seasoning with. Not too much. I don't want to make it, you know, make it hot and spicy. This is mild. And here's that. I'm going to add a little bit of garlic powder, just because I put garlic powder. I put garlic of some kind in everything but coconut pie. You know, you kind of need a little garlic in everything. All right, and just a little chili powder, not a whole lot. I'm not trying to make it red. I just want to add a little, just that little bit of flavor. Then it'll add. This is not a heavily, like I said, this is the same thing that we might use for tacos or whether you know, soft tacos in a flour tortilla or crispy tacos with a fried corn tortilla or soft corn tortillas, either one. It's just a real, you just want it seasoned but not too heavy. All right. Now then, I'm going to let this finish cooking and then I'll be back because I want to make my sauce in this same pan after finish. Oh, bless me. Sorry about that. Pepper's making me sneeze. Now I'll have to clean up my counter that I sneezed all over. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. I've got my meat cooked and I've set it aside there to hold. The next thing I'm going to do is warm my tortillas. Until fairly recently, maybe the last 10 years, the corn tortillas that we bought were very hard, and they had to be softened by heating them in oil. And so you'll probably see old recipes that say to warm them in oil, and what they mean by that is what my mother-in-law always used to do, and what we all did until, like I said, until these new soft tortillas came out. You'd have a skillet with a small amount of oil in it, maybe about 1/4 of an inch of just your whatever your regular cooking oil is that you use, and have it hot. And you put a corn tortilla in there and leave it for maybe 30 seconds and then turn it in another 30 seconds on each side and then drain all of those. And just enough, you don't want them to crisp at all, just enough to kind of, for that grease to get into it and permeate it and soften them up to make them flexible. But I don't know what they're doing with them today. These days they're probably adding cellulose gum or propoponic acid or phosphoric acid or guar gum or amylase, things like that to make them very soft. So all they need now is just like a flour tortilla, to be warmed on a comal, which is all this is a cast iron griddle. If you don't have a griddle, you can use a hot pan. It doesn't have to be greased, but it does need to be pretty hot. And if you've got like this glass top stove, I can actually use that and heat them directly on the burner if I wanted to. It makes a mess, and you kind of have to clean them up afterwards. But if your stoves are clean, you can warm them that way. If you have a gas stove, you can warm them right over the flame, but do not ever put one onto an electric burner. The old type electric burners. That's not a good idea. And all we're doing, see, is just heating it just enough to be soft. Our son-in-law works for Goya Foods, and he gave me this little tortilla warmer. It's just a little padded bag that works great. But you can just set them inside a clean towel. Will work fine. All I'm doing is getting them softened, and I want them to stay warm so they'll stay soft, where I can manipulate them when I get ready to roll them up. I'm going to do a bunch of these, so I'm not going to stand here and do it all on camera. So I'm going to finish heating these up, and then I'll come back and show you the rest of. See what I'm doing? See, when you start seeing steam coming up from all over it, that kind of shows that it's gotten warm enough. See that? Can you see that steam coming from all over it? That's kind of how I tell with corn tortillas that they're just right and heated good. All right, now. All right, let me turn this off and then I'll be back when I get these all done. All right, I'm back. I'm going to, I finished warming my tortillas, and now I'm going to move my camal over there. It's very hot, so that I can work with this. I'm just using some of the drippings from browning my ground beef. If you don't have drippings, or you don't want to use them, you can just use butter. What we're going to do now is we're basically going to make a cream sauce. We're going to use some, oh, I forgot my milk. We're going to use some sour cream and water, some milk. We're going to, we're going to use some flour in our oil, and a while back, some of my garlic was sprouting, and so I stuck it in this little dish and put water on it, and peeled the cloves, and so these little sprouts have sprouted up, and I've already cut them off once, and I cut them down to about right there, and they've already grown back. So I'm going to snip some of these. I dried the other ones that I cut off to try them as like chives on baked potatoes and things. They don't really have a very strong garlic flavor once they've been chopped. So I'm going to snip these off and use those in my sauce instead of garlic powder. But normally you'd use just a little bit of garlic powder in your sauce there. Let me chop these up before I get started real quick, so they'll be ready for me when I want them. Get this stuff out here. There we go. You know, they actually have a pretty good taste. They taste garlicky and not very strong, but just about right. So that'll be nice. And since I've got the green, I'm going to put the green chilies in this otherwise white sauce. These will fit just fine in there. All right. Paul taught me my knife skills. I didn't have very good ones. I'm still not very good with a knife. I have to be very careful that I don't hurt myself. All right, there's a little bit of fat in there, but I'm going to add some lard. I'm going to get out my, I always use a whisk to help me stir my gravies. Okay. There we go now. Good, where you guys can see a little bit. Now, I'm going to add some flour. You know, it's like every other white sauce that you're making or cream gravy that you're making. You know, the longer you do it, the more you'll get to where you can kind of sense how much flour and how much fat you need. And then, you know, if you got too much flour and it's too thick, you just keep adding some more liquid until you get it the consistency that you need. But this one is this one I don't want to be. I want it thickened, but not very thick. So I think it's probably about a quarter cup of flour, and probably about the same amount, maybe a third of a cup of fat. And I'm going to let it cook just a minute so that it cooks up. It's browned a little bit because of that, the fats from the ground beef. But again, if you use butter, and in a clean pan, you won't have that. So if you're wanting to preserve your color in this, you'll okay. Now then. Let's add some water first here, because I want to get this sour cream in there. So I'm going to add some water before I stir it in. I'm going to add almost a full carton, these little 8-ounce carton of sour cream. I've been buying these even though they cost just a little bit more than the bigger one containers do, because that way they stay sealed and they don't go bad as quickly. This is about the most that I will use of sour cream at any one point in time, and so I kept going back to use the bigger containers and discovering that that they had mold on them. So now I just buy these smaller containers, and I have less waste. All right, now I'm adding some milk, and then I'm going to add some water because I don't want it quite as creamy as I would like, as you want for like cream gravy. You want it actually. You can also use, in place of the milk, you could use chicken broth if you had any. I'm out. I used all my nice chicken broth that I canned in things for Thanksgiving, and so I'm going to have to get on the ball and can some more. I did the turkeys the other day, but I canned all the turkey and I thought I was going to have broth left over, and I didn't. And so I used it all in canning those jars. So now I've got to come up with some more chicken broth. I'm going to add my little green things there, little garlic trimmings. You can smell them. They smell good. And open my green chilies. And these are some varieties of chilies have them labeled mild or spicy, and so I actually will pay more to get the mild ones. I didn't grow my own of these this year. I will next year. But some brands, if it doesn't say mild on it, they may be very spicy. It's again, from year to year. I grew poblanos this year, and the last time I grew poblanos, they were mild and they were lovely and they did beautiful. This year they stayed small, and they were all so hot that I couldn't eat them. So, it's so anyway. So I pay a little extra to get the little canned chopped green chilies that are labeled mild, and I'm going to add them to this. I'm going to use the whole can. If you prefer, you can use about half a can. Several years ago, I had a bumper crop of Anaheims, and I put them all up, in our food saver bags in the freezer. And boy, we had chilies to use for literally years thereafter. I had a huge crop, and they kept so well in those bags. All right, now I'm going to add some salt and just a dash of cumin. Comino. Open that top. With comino, you always just want a very small amount. It goes a little bit, goes a long way. So literally just what you call a pinch of comino is all I'm adding. I just want a hint of flavor in that. And a little black pepper. Not a whole lot, just a little. I don't want it to be spicy. If you cook black pepper in liquids, it'll overpower it. It can become very overpowering. So you can add it. I add it at the end. And somebody else in this house likes lots of pepper with any kind of cream sauce. So he has to add his at the end. Because I can't handle it if there's too much that's cooked in it, in a liquid. Now, in the ground beef, you can actually use a lot of black pepper, and it doesn't release its heat in the same way that it does in liquid foods. So I don't quite understand what the process is that causes that, but anyway. All right, now then, while that's heating, don't need that anymore, don't need that anymore, need these anymore. I'm gonna get ready to put these together. Anytime you see me swiping stuff off of here, it's just salt and things. I sweep when I get done, but I don't like having salt and stuff on my counter that I want to do. All right, my cheese is what I'm going to use to sprinkle over the top when I'm done. I've got some onion chopped. I'm going to chop some more. Here's my, let me get my favorite. I didn't keep my favorite one out. Let me get my knife back. There we go. I don't ever put a sharp knife in the sink. I always leave them laying on the edge of the sink, and then I wash them by hand first. If you put a sharp knife down in the sink, it can get covered in dishwater, and somebody reaches their hand down in there and slices their hand open. So I never, not these knives, not my serrated knives, not even my bread knives, sharp knives, not even steak knives. I have some steak knives that go with silver. Just don't ever put them down in the sink because they can get covered in dishwater, and you reach your hand down in there, and without realizing it, you cut your hand open, and you're in the emergency room getting stitches. So that's my my sermon for the day. We like onions in our enchiladas. Not everybody does, and you know, we've noticed a lot of the restaurants these days. A lot of them don't even give you the option anymore. Used to, it was traditional for them. All enchiladas had fresh onion sprinkled in them, but and then they got to where they'd ask. I guess because a lot of people didn't want it in there. And now, most of the time, they don't come with onion in them, so, but we like ours with onion in it, so I'll put some fresh chopped onion inside ours as I make them. Since I'm making this to take somewhere else, I probably won't use quite as much chopped onion in these as I would if I were making them for just me and Paul. But I tell you what, onion and garlic are two things I would not want to have to try to live without. They are important for our cooking. Okay, all right now. Okay, set this aside. Sauce here, oh yeah, it's really good. Alright, now I'm going to start putting these together. I have this Pyrex pan that's so nice because it goes in a little carrier and so I can take it places. But it's new Pyrex. So I don't ever put it in the, I'm nervous always about putting it in the oven. I had one two years ago at Thanksgiving. I cooked some sweet potatoes in it, and when they got done, I pulled them out of the oven and set them here on the top of the stove, and I walked off over there, and the whole thing exploded, and it sent glass 6 feet away in all directions. And I went looking on the website, and of course the company, denies any liability for that, and they go on about how it's still made the same way. It's not. It's not made out of the same kind of glass that old Pyrex was. Old Pyrex was designed to not break if it changed temperature quickly, so you could go from refrigerator into the oven. The new kind is I don't know what it's designed to not do. I guess it's designed to not break if you drop it, but it breaks if it gets heated. So be careful when you're using your new Pyrex. Plus, it's made in China, so I try not to make not to buy anything. Like I said, it's like I was telling a young friend of ours. It's not that I have anything against the Chinese. It's just that because they're so far away, so many products are so shoddy, and there's no way to have any recourse against that. You know, for the company to have to step up and fix their product. And so, so I prefer to try to buy American if I can. It just helps everybody. All right, now my sauce is done. It's cooked for a while. That out, and let's see. Let me move things around here. Get these out of the way. First, I'm going to spoon some of my sauce into my pan here. Just a small amount. Just want the bottom covered. Oh, there's a little red pepper that got in with the green ones there. These green chilies, the Anaheim's, you know, they'll turn red if you leave them long enough, and then they become a different kind of chili and have a different kind of name. But it's all the same one difference, just whether they're ripe or not. Okay. Now then. Some tortilla. Let's see. Oh, I need a spoon for my onions. Hold on a second. There we go. All right. Now then. Spoonful of meat. Sprinkle of onion. I'm just going to roll it up and set it in the pan there. If you're doing cheese enchiladas, you do the same thing, but you just put whatever your cheese is going to be in it. If you're doing chicken, the same thing. Fill them the same way. You can do your shredded. You can do shredded beef. You know, whatever your filling is, it's just the same. The process is the same. And sometimes they'll stay tighter if you kind of catch that edge of that one and fold it like that. They'll stay actually rolled up tighter. Let me see if I can show you in this one. All right. Put my meat on there. Little onion. Okay, now see, I'm going to pull this together right there. Can you see that? And then just fold that over. And for some reason that will actually stay together a little bit better. Can you see how much tighter those are than those two that I didn't do that way? See how soft these tortillas are? That's just okay. Fold that in like that. There we go. And lay them over on there on that folded side, so it'll hold them down and hold them together. Don't need a whole lot of filling in them. You don't want them feel fat. They're not like a burrito where, you know, sometimes you want that burrito just packed full. But these you don't want quite that way. Same thing with with tamales. If you're ever making tamales, Paul and I did once. We might have to try that again sometime. We did once, and man, we never worked so hard to get 4 dozen tamales. Remember that, Paul?
Yeah.
We did the whole thing. You know, we cooked our beef roast, and we shredded it up with forks, and man alive, we worked so hard, and like I said, we only got 4 dozen tamales out of it, which had all the boys at home then, so I mean that was supper, you know. And we had to add stuff to it to make it stretch. So really, we ought to try that again sometime and see if we can figure out how to make it go a little farther. Some folks around here, folks have always made made tamales and bring them around and sell them fresh, and they're so good when they're fresh out of the steamer. But it's something that a lot of people got together where they had a lot of people working on it to do, and because of the effort, a piece of onion there, because of the effort to make them, to get them all filled and rolled up and wrapped in the corn shucks, you really kind of need an assembly line. You need a lot of people, or you need to plan to spend a whole day on it. I'm sure we were a lot slower than we would have been if we had been experienced at it. But I'm going to have enough of this to make an extra pan of them to keep at home, so we'll have supper tomorrow night. That'll make Paul happy. We like Mexican food, I tell you what. Oops, get it together. Here we go. It doesn't take very much effort to get them filled, and two more tortillas. Oh, look how, I tell you what, I planned that just right. I had 2 more tortillas in there. Man, I've just barely got room. I might can squeeze them in. I'm going to see if I can. Let me squeeze that in over there. And let's see if I can't squeeze one in over here. That's perfect. Go. All right. Okay, now that I've got that, now I'm going to pour my sauce over it. I'm having that, like I said, I have enough left that I'm going to make some more for us. But I don't know if the sauce will stretch or not. I might have to make a fresh batch of sauce. We'll see. You can see this. Let me get this over here. I'm completely covering the tortillas with sauce. Now I want every bit of tortilla to have sauce on it on the outside, because if you don't, then that part that's not cut, doesn't have sauce on it will get hard, and that's not good in enchiladas. Now, if you wanted to make these up in advance and put them on a plate, you need to do the part, get them all rolled up, and then just have them set aside, and then put your sauce over them right before you put them in the oven to heat them up. Okay, right. Yep, sauce left too. Okay, all right. That's so I've got my. Okay, now I'm going to put some cheese on these, and we like Longhorn cheese. You can use Monterey Jack, or you can use a melty Mexican cheese if you like. Whatever, Colby is and Longhorn are the same thing. I'm just wiping off that I spilled on the edges there. And you know, whatever your favorite cheese is for the top of them. And you don't really have to have it. It's just like an added oomph to it. We like it a lot. And I like it especially on, my favorite are beef enchiladas, and for that reason, you know, I've got my cheese on the outside, and so I have my beef on the inside. Okay. Right, here we go. Now what I'll do is I'll put this in the oven at 350 degrees until it's bubbly and the cheese is melted, and that's one of those things that you know, kind of watch it. In this case, I'm going to wait a little while. I'm just going to set this aside because it's probably going to be about 2 hours before I put it in the oven and get it ready to heat to go. So with that short period of time, I don't need to refrigerate it. But if it were any longer than that, if I were making this early in the morning, I'd put it in the refrigerator first. And you know, I'd want to use a metal pan if I were going to do that. If I were going to refrigerate it first and then put it in the oven, I would not use my new Pyrex pan for that. I'd put it in something else. So I'm going to just set this over here and put my cover on it, and then I'll be back and show you how it looks when it comes out. All right, thanks. Right, I'm back. I've baked this for 30 minutes at 350 degrees. And as you can see, I've got it in my little container. I'm fixing to put the foil over the top and then put the lid on it and then zip it up into its little insulated bag so that we can take it with us. I had enough left to make a small pan to stick in the fridge for us. So if I don't forget, tomorrow I'll film some of it and get some of it on the plate so you can see how it plates up. All right, thank you so much. This is the next day. This is what I had left over that I put in the refrigerator and saved it and then baked it tonight. As you can see, the enchiladas are very soft. The tortillas got very, very soft from sitting in the sauce overnight, but they still held together well, and it still tastes fabulous. And I'm using this with, of course, my refried beans. I made a new batch. You know, I pulled some more out of those that I had cooked sitting in the fridge, and mashed them up and fried them, and then my Spanish rice, and then this is just plain shredded lettuce with a little chopped tomato on top of it, and it's called enchilada, and it's served exactly like that in all the Mexican restaurants here in Texas. No dressing or anything, and you put a little salt on it and then just eat it with the rest of the food, and it's really tasty. So I hope you will enjoy this. Thank you.